You stand on cold, glowing stone. The air is thick with the scent of ozone and judgment. Before you sits the conclave of Concord. 1,000 beings from 1,000 worlds, arrayed in tears that climb into the artificial twilight. Their many eyes, lenses, pits, and shimmering fields, watch your every move. They call this place the apex of judgment. You call it a room with terrible acoustics and an unfortunate dress code. Robes, really? Even after all this time? The lead adjudicator, a crystalline entity named Xylar, levitates from its dais. Its voice is not sound, but a vibration in your bones. It chimes through the cavernous chamber. You stand accused of unsanctioned reality manipulation. The charge echoes, each repetition a little more damning. A heresy of the highest order. The deliberate and malicious tearing of the veil. Malicious? That stings a little. You are going for desperate and creative. You look at their faces, or what passes for them. The delegate from Cygnus X1 is a being of pure gas in a containment suit. It swirls with what you assume is righteous indignation. The insectoid from Cathar clicks its mandibles in a slow, rhythmic disapproval. They see a monster in a simple pressure suit, a barbarian species that broke the universe's oldest, most sacred law. They do not see a survivor. They only see the crime. They refuse to see the necessity. Your hands are bound in shimmering fields of light, a purely symbolic gesture, of course. They know you could not fight your way out of here. The real chains are their closed minds, their rigid adherence to ancient dogma. You are here to tell them the truth. You are here to explain why their most sacred law is a lie, why your heresy was the only choice you had. It was the only choice any of them had. They just didn't know it yet. This all began with a message. Though calling it a message is far too generous. It was a shutdown, a signal that silenced every human broadcast in an instant. It cut through our music, our news, our endless arguments. It replaced them all with a profound, unnerving quiet. For the first time in centuries, the earth was silent. We had waited for this moment our entire lives. We dreamed of friends among the stars. We were hopelessly, terribly wrong. We got cosmic landlords instead. When the voice finally came, it was not a greeting. It was a judgment delivered from every speaker on the planet. It spoke in every language simultaneously, a flawless, cold translation. The voice belonged to a race that called themselves the Architects. They claimed to be the gardeners of the galaxy. They said they maintained the balance and preserved the great design. Their words were smooth, logical, and utterly devoid of mercy. They told us we were a statistical error, a weed in their pristine garden, a species growing too quickly and too chaotically. Our art was noise. Our science was reckless. Our endless ambition was a threat to cosmic stability. We were, in their words, an imbalance that required correction. They said it with the emotional detachment of someone pulling a weed. They probably weren't fans of our reality television either. A real shame, that. Then they gave us the ultimatum. We could accept systemic cleansing, a polite and sterile term for being wiped from existence without a fuss. Or we could be erased by force. There was no third option. There was no room for negotiation. Just a cold, silent clock, ticking down from a fixed point in our sky. That was our first contact. An eviction notice for our entire species, delivered by beings who wouldn't even show their faces. The ultimatum hung over us like a shroud, a shadow that touched every soul on the planet. Do we vanish quietly into the long night? Or do we fight a battle we know we cannot win? The fleets of the Architects, were numberless. We could see them on our long-range scans. Perfect geometric shapes that hung at the edge of our system. Proofs of our own technological infancy. A direct confrontation was not just suicide. It was a statistical impossibility. Our leaders debated in shadowed, underground rooms. Our greatest minds ran simulations that all ended in ash. Our people prayed to gods old and new, or simply held their loved ones close. For days, Earth was a planet holding its breath. We looked at our children playing in parks. We looked at the silent, watching sky. We saw the future being stolen from us. The silence from the stars was louder than any explosion. Then, a new idea emerged. It was not born in a government chamber. It was born in a dusty laboratory on a forgotten moon. A whisper that became a theory that became a roar. It came from the fringes of our science, from minds willing to think the unthinkable. What if we did not have to fight them on their terms? What if we could change the very battlefield? What if we could change the rules of reality itself? It was a desperate, insane choice. It was a heresy against the known laws of the universe. To reach for a power no one had ever dared to touch. To knock on a door that the cosmos had locked and bolted shut. The architects wanted us to die within the rules they had created. We chose to tear up the rule book. We chose to survive. We chose to become the very thing the galaxy now fears. Our frantic search for an answer led us to old theories, concepts our star science had once dismissed as fantasy. Ghost signals in the fabric of space-time, a background hum the galaxy tried to ignore. Our scientists called it void resonance, a theoretical dimension pressed up against our own, just out of phase, a place where the rules of cause and effect were said to be mere suggestions. The ancient texts of your conclave, of your oldest laws, spoke of it. You called it the realm of chaos, a place of unmaking, of cosmic madness, of existential ruin. Your laws forbade any research into it. You decreed it a door that must never be opened. You feared it would unravel the stable reality you cherished. We looked at your warning signs and saw a break glass in case of extinction notice. Our situation was dire. Our best minds worked in secret. They gathered on a hidden base in the Kuiper Belt. They sifted through forbidden data, your forbidden data. They mapped the impossible. And they found that the void was not chaos. It was simply different. It had its own rules, its own physics, its own flow. And it was a source of near infinite energy. An energy the architects had gone to great lengths to hide from everyone. That was when the truth began to dawn on us. We realized why they policed the galaxy so fiercely, why they snuffed out any species that grew too advanced. They were not gardeners maintaining a beautiful ecosystem. They were wardens. They were keeping everyone locked inside a cosmic prison of their design. And they were terrified of us finding the key, which, naturally, made us want to find it even more. Their fear was our hope. So we built a machine. We poured every last resource we had into it. We called it the Locus. It was not a weapon in the way you understand weapons. It was a tuning fork for reality itself. Its purpose was to strike a chord so pure, so powerful, that it would resonate with the void. It was the largest single object humanity had ever created. It was our monument to defiance, our Hail Mary pass. It was built in the deep dark, beyond the orbit of Neptune, shielded from the prying eyes of the architects. Millions of us worked on it in shifts that never ended. Engineers, physicists, artists, poets, everyone had a part to play. We poured all our remaining hope into its circuits, all our righteous fear into its reactor core. It was a cathedral of desperation, a shining metallic temple to survival. The locus was a sphere of 100 nested rings. Each one spun in counter-rotation to the next. They generated a cascade of exotic particles, forcing them into an impossible state. At its heart was not machinery, but a containment field of pure thought. A psychic nexus where a team of our most focused minds could guide the storm. It was designed to do one thing: to punch a clean, precise hole through our reality. Your council's observers, had they known, would have called it an abomination, a tool to unleash Armageddon upon the galaxy. And they would have been half right. It was a terrible, dangerous thing. But the only thing more terrible was the alternative: extinction. We were forging the key to our salvation, or our final glorious doom. We were all out of other options. The day of the first test arrived. The silence was absolute. The air on every command deck across the solar system was electric. We were about to knock on a door no one in the universe was supposed to know existed. We were hoping something friendly would answer, or at least something that didn't eat souls for breakfast. The locus was ready. The command was given by a woman with tears in her eyes. Begin. A single low hum started it all, a vibration that was felt, not heard. The 100 rings of the locus began to spin. Faster and faster they moved, a blur of gold and silver. The space around the machine began to warp. Light itself seemed to bend in protest, twisting into strange new colors. We were twisting the very fabric of our universe. It felt like holding a god by the tail and hoping it didn't notice. Then, a chime. Not a sound from our speakers. It was a feeling. It resonated in the mind of every single human, from the test controllers to the children hiding in bunkers on Earth. A single, perfect, impossible note that bloomed from the locus. It was the first echo of the void. A ripple spread outward at speeds that defied physics. It washed over our solar system, a wave of pure potential and unknown consequence. For one breathtaking moment, everything was different. We could feel the connections between all things. We could see the flow of time like a river. It was a glimpse of a greater, more complex reality. The test was a success beyond our wildest dreams. We had touched another dimension, and we felt it touch us back. We had no idea our beautiful chime had served as a dinner bell across the void. Our success was a flare of light in a carefully curated darkness. It painted a target on our entire species. The architects saw the ripple we had made. They had felt the tremor in their cosmic web, the one they maintained so carefully. They had kept the void a secret for millions of years. Our little test was not just a breach of their law. It was a declaration of war against their entire system of control. They came for us then, not with another warning, not with another ultimatum. Their fleets appeared at the edge of our system without any transition. They did not drop out of warp. They simply arrived. Countless ships, silent and menacing. They were perfect geometric shapes: cubes, tetrahedrons, dodecahedrons. They were a fleet of angry math problems coming to erase us. They moved without drive plumes or engine flares. They simply willed themselves forward. Their intent was clear and absolute. They were not here to talk. They were not here to subjugate. They were here to erase their mistake, to scrub the human variable from their grand equation. Our own fleets, the pride of our worlds, moved to intercept them. Brave men and women in ships of steel and fire. They fought with a courage that still brings me to tears. And they were utterly, hopelessly outmatched. Our most powerful weapons flared harmlessly against their black, seamless hulls. Our ships, our best and brightest, were swatted aside like toys. We watched our orbital defenses, platforms that could crack a moon, crumble to dust under their silent, effortless assault. The storm had broken upon us. Extinction was no longer a distant threat, it was an arrival. It was in our skies, and it was knocking on our front door. You stand on the bridge of the flagship Defiance. Red lights flash across the strained faces of your crew. Alarms blare a symphony of despair. Reports of losses flood the comms, one after another. Entire squadrons vanishing in a blink. The geometric ships of the architects carve through your defensive fleet. They move with an unnatural, perfect grace. Each movement is a final, deadly stroke of a brush, painting our end. Hope is a flickering candle in a hurricane. Your second in command turns to you. Her face is pale with grime and exhaustion, but her eyes are steel. They're through the Jupiter line. Saturn station is gone. They'll be in Earth orbit in 17 minutes. 17 minutes, until it all ends. All of human history. All of our songs, our dreams, our futures. Every lover's kiss, every child's laughter. Gone. Turned to silent, orbiting dust. This is the moment. The precipice of history. The choice that will define your species for all time, however short that may be. Do you die with honor, obeying the laws of a universe that wants you dead? A universe whose laws were written by your executioner? Or do you commit the ultimate sin to give your people a chance to live? It was never really a choice at all, was it? Not for a species as stubborn as yours. You look at the image of the locus on the main tactical screen. It hangs in the darkness, a silent promise of either salvation or a different kind of doom. Waiting for your command. You take a breath, and the recycled air of the bridge feels thin. The words feel like stones in your mouth. Power the locus to 100%. Target the empty space directly ahead of our fleet. Fire on my mark. You have just given the order. You have chosen to break reality. The command goes out across the fleet. Fire. One word to change the universe. One word to condemn or save your people. From the heart of the locus, a beam of impossible energy erupts. It is not light. It is not radiation. It is a focused stream of altered physics. A spear of pure intention, forged in desperation, aimed at the empty space before your beleaguered fleet. The beam strikes nothing, and it changes everything. The veil between worlds, the barrier your laws hold so sacred, tears open. Reality screams, a silent, psychic shriek that echoes in your mind. Before your fleet, a gateway blooms into existence, a swirling vortex of colors you have no names for, of patterns that defy geometry. It is beautiful, and it is terrifying in equal measure. A raw, bleeding wound in the universe. A window into the void. All ships, you command, your voice steady despite the tremor in your soul. Full power, through the gate. Now. Your ships, what is left of them, surge forward. They plunge through the gateway, one after another. They cross the threshold from one reality to another. The transition is jarring, disorienting. One moment, you are in the cold, familiar dark of space. The next, you are adrift in an endless ocean of soft, pearlescent light. The laws of physics you knew are gone, replaced by something new, something fluid and alive. This was not the chaos your council's ancient texts predicted. It was not a realm of madness and senseless destruction. It was a place of pure creation, a dimension where thought and reality were deeply intertwined. You look out the main viewport of the Defiance. You see that you did not find chaos. You found the truth. And it was more stunning than you could have ever imagined. The perfect geometric ships of the architects followed you in. Of course they did. They could not allow you, the anomaly, to escape. But inside the void, they were different. They were vulnerable. The sleek, perfect, impenetrable shells of their vessels shimmered. They became transparent, like ghosts. You could finally see what lay inside. And the lie they had maintained for millions of years was laid bare for all to see. They were not beings of higher evolution. They were not transcendent gardeners tending the cosmos. Inside each perfect geometric ship was a creature of raw, malevolent hunger. A being of tangled, parasitic energy that clung to the machinery like a fungus. They fed on the life force, the very essence of entire civilizations. The order they maintained across the galaxy was the cold, calculated order of a farm. And every species, including yours, was their livestock. They pruned species that grew too clever, too inquisitive. They culled any civilization that might stumble upon the truth of the void. They kept the galaxy quiet and docile, locked in a reality they could control. A reality where they were the unchallenged apex predators. They were cosmic vampires in starships. Suddenly their whole holier-than-thou attitude made a lot more sense. It was the arrogance of the farmer for his flock. You saw their grotesque history in the living currents of the void. You witnessed eons of silent, unseen harvests. Worlds full of art and life, extinguished like candles in the dark. The ultimatum they gave you was not a judgment from a superior being. It was pest control. You were not a flaw in their great design. You were a crop that had started to think, a crop that had just discovered the farmer's secret. In this new dimension, the very rules of war had changed. Our weapons of steel and plasma were useless here. They fizzled into nothingness. But our minds were now our cannons. Our will was our shield. The void responded to focused consciousness, to creativity, to raw, unyielding belief. The architects had power here, born of eons of practice. But their power was rigid. It was the unchanging, unimaginative will of a predator. Humanity, however, was a species of dreamers. We were artists and engineers, poets and stubborn fools. Our thoughts became our shields. Our collective hope became our swords. A starship's navigator imagined a shorter path through the strange currents, and the ship folded space to arrive there instantly. An engineer, thinking of her family back on Earth, focused on her ship's armor, and the hull hardened into something diamond-like and unbreakable. We learned to fight with the power of our souls. Our battered ships danced and weaved in impossible ways, dodging attacks of pure geometric force. We launched our own attacks, projectiles made of crystallized memories, beams of concentrated, defiant music. We were no longer fighting a war of physics. We were fighting a war of imagination. And as it turned out, we were very, very good at it. The architects fought with cold, hard logic and the weight of millennia. But we fought with passion. We fought with the white-hot fury of a people betrayed and cornered. We fought for our stolen future. Their perfect geometric fleets were shattered by symphonies turned into kinetic weapons. Their cold, perfect calculations were undone by a pilot's sheer, illogical love for his home. For the very first time in a million years, they knew fear. Word of our new methods spread. Your council's long-range sensors, the ones that watch everything, picked up the echoes. You saw the impossible energies we wielded. You saw us tear holes in the fabric of space. You saw us fighting fire with a new kind of fire, a fire you could not comprehend. You saw the heresy. You saw the broken law. You did not see the monster we were fighting. You did not even look. Your envoys arrived after our first major victory in the void. They did not ask why we had done it. They did not ask what enemy could have driven us to such an extreme. They simply saw our power, our ability to manipulate reality, and they were afraid. They saw a species wielding forces you had outlawed for 100,000 years. A species that had broken your most sacred, fundamental rule. You condemned us without a trial. From this very chamber, you branded us heretics and cosmic criminals. Your ancient fear of the void was greater than your curiosity. It was greater than your reason. You saw a door kicked open. You assumed a monster was coming through. You never once stopped to consider that we were fighting the monster that had lived outside your door all along. So you sat in this very hall, robed in your certainty. You debated our fate. You passed judgment on a war you did not understand. A war fought for your freedom as much as our own. You saw our methods, not our reasons. You feared us. You feared the escaped prisoners more than you had ever feared the silent, unseen warden who held the keys. The final battle was not loud. There were no explosions to mark its passing. It was fought in the silent, luminous realm of the void. It was a contest of will against will. Our entire species, every mind, every soul, united in a single, focused purpose. Against the ancient, hungry minds of the architects and their central hive consciousness. We threw everything we had at them. Every dream, every hope, every scrap of courage. Their central command was not a place, but a consciousness. A single hive mind that spanned their entire fleet. A mind of cold, perfect predatory logic. We focused all our power, all our humanity, on that single point. We showed it what it meant to be human. We flooded it with our art, our love, our grief, our illogical joy. We showed it the stubborn, messy, beautiful chaos of our existence. The hive mind could not comprehend it. It could not process it. Our messy, passionate reality was a logical paradox to its cold, ordered mind. It was poison. It fractured. It recoiled in something akin to horror. The psychic link between their ships was broken. One by one, their perfect geometric vessels went dark. They drifted, empty and inert, in the sea of the void. We had not just defeated their fleet. We had defeated their very idea of existence. We won. The silence that followed was the first true peace our species had ever known. But the victory came at a great cost. The effort of that final battle left our minds scarred. We had touched a power we were not meant to hold for so long. We carry the echoes of that place, of that power, with us still. We paid a heavy price for the galaxy's freedom. A freedom the galaxy doesn't even know it has. A freedom you now seek to punish us for. And so, you have our testimony. We did what we were forced to do. We broke your most sacred law to save ourselves from an enemy you did not know existed. In doing so, we saved all of you as well. The silent gardeners of the galaxy are gone. The cosmic predators have been vanquished. You sleep more safely in your beds tonight because of our heresy. You are free because we sinned. You look at us with fear and suspicion. You call our power an abomination. You see the crack we made in reality, and you are afraid of what might come through it. But the only thing that came through was us. We returned, victorious and forever changed. We carry the burden of this new knowledge. We carry the scars of the war you never saw. The truth is that your laws were built on a foundation of lies. A grand deception told by the architects to keep you in their cosmic garden, to keep you docile and predictable and ready for the harvest. They taught you to fear the void because it was your only path to freedom. They gave you your religion, your most basic understanding of the universe, and you called it physics. We are the living proof of that lie. We are the embodiment of the truth you still refuse to see. You can condemn us for breaking your laws, but those laws were the bars of a cage you never knew you were in. We did not just save our species from extinction. We threw open the doors of your prison, and all you can do is complain about the draft. Now, the judgment is yours to make. The conclave of Concord must decide our fate. Will you punish the ones who saved you? Will you condemn the truth because it is uncomfortable, because it shatters your worldview? Look upon us. We are humanity. We are the species that refused to die quietly, the weed that choked the farmer. We will not apologize for our survival. We will not repent for the sin of self-defense. The power we discovered, the truth of the void, is now ours to wield. And we will use it. We will use it to defend ourselves. We will use it to explore the universe you were too afraid to see. The real universe. The one that exists beyond the garden walls your masters built for you. Your verdict, in the end, does not truly matter to us. We have faced down extinction. We have stared into the hungry eyes of false gods. Your judgment holds little fear for us now. If you cast us out, we will go. We will build our own future among the stars. A future based on truth, not comfortable, ancient lies. A future where we are no one's cattle. So, render your judgment, adjudicator, Xylar. We stand before you, and we are guilty. We are guilty of heresy. We are guilty of survival. We are guilty of being human. And we would do it all again in a heartbeat. Our future is our own now. And we are not, nor will we ever be, sorry for it.